Good morning, ladies. How is everyone today? Hope everyone's having a good day. I'm going to see here if there's a way I can invite some people here. Let's get a few invited here. All right. So I've invited a couple people. I don't normally do that. I guess I have to get in the habit of kind of doing that, sending out the invites. I know not everybody can join this time of the day, but I'm going to try to get our participation up a little bit. I know some of you go back and watch the videos later, but it would be nice to have some interaction and some Q&A going on kind of during the live. So this morning, we're going to talk about spirit animals of the North. So Tuesday, we talked about how the zodiac signs fell in a category of the four elements, which then fell into coincides with, I don't really know I don't like that terminology, but I guess at the moment, I don't have a better term to use. But they go with the elements, the four directions, the four seasons, the 4 times a day. So they all kind of are categorized, grouped together. And so right now, the reason I did that was because to do today's live, I kind of needed to give you a little bit of that background. So if you haven't watched Tuesday's live yet, you might want to do that. So we're going into winter, which is we're going into the season of the North. So like I said, each zodiac sign goes with an element sign, but it goes with a directional sign, and so that also goes with a season. So just to recap on the North, so the North is your earth element, goes with your earth element, which goes with winter, which your time of day is midnight, and your earth zodiac signs are your Taurus, your Virgo, and your Capricorn. Okay, so those are kind of all go together. We're going to kind of learn a little bit about the North. Again, I have a half an hour, so I can't go over a whole bunch. So I try to pick and choose what I think is the most important. Got my snowman cup today. Got my holiday cups this weekend. So the gatekeepers of the North. So if you're casting a circle, that's kind of how you would call them in. So you would call in the great gatekeepers of the North, the earth guides. You kind of typically we don't get into like the part that goes down to the midnight and stuff, but you kind of would say North, and that it was the winter and earth, and you could call them in that way. So the North, again, is, and when I said Tuesday, is a lot of people start casting their circle from the east. Typically, I do it from the North. I don't cast a lot of circles, but occasionally I do. And I don't feel like I need to cast a lot of circles for the stuff I do. Again, it's just what you feel you want to do. But if I do cast a circle, I typically do it from the North, and there's really no right or wrong way, but the majority of people do start casting it from the east. Like I said, I think that has a lot to do with there was a lot of different cultures, especially Native American, that honor the east. So I'm not sure if that's exactly why they do it that way, but because I don't know what they did millions of years ago. So the gatekeepers of the North. So this is kind of where, if you're doing ancestral work or elder work and stuff, you kind of want to work with the earth element and some of those things. But that's kind of where they reside, is in the North. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of an analogy to relate that with, and I can't come up with one right at the moment. So, in the North, to work with the spirit animals, I'm going to just go over a couple of other things real quick before we get into that. The Northern Hemisphere, people think of it being cold, which is why it's related to winter. So if you go south, it's warm. If you go north, it's cold. You know, it's really not rocket science here. Sometimes we just don't relate things, or we just don't take the time to put the pieces together or to think about it. But it's really pretty simple for the most part. And when you kind of learn about it, you're like, oh, well, that makes sense. So the Northern Hemisphere is something that people consider to, in my notes I wrote retreat, because that's what I took it from, but that's really not the best word, retreat. People don't retreat to the Northern Hemisphere. And most people go south to retreat. So that's not really the best word, I don't think. But if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you, I guess, maybe tend to retreat, but I jokingly say hibernate. This is the month, these are the months I want to hibernate. I want to stay home. I want to, watch TV. I want to read books. I don't want to go outside. So that's kind of, I think, where the word retreat kind of comes in more than the fact that people don't retreat to the Northern Hemisphere during the winter. So again, sometimes I get caught up on the words a little bit because I don't think they fit quite right, but I just want to make sure that I'm trying to explain it the best I can to you. So obviously this is the time of year where our nights are longer, so we are obviously in a lot more of the dark, which again coincides with, this time of the year is considered the midnight time of the year, again, because it just makes sense, it's dark. So again, our instinct here is in the wintertime is, to, I wrote curl up, stay warm, and rest, which is exactly what I want to do. So right now we are going into the winter. Typically we're not here yet, but here in New Hampshire, we're in winter. Normally we would just be going into winter, but it's winter here. It's cold, it's snowy, it's slushy, it's yucky, it's winter. It shouldn't be yet, but it is. So typically I would be saying that we're just moving into winter. And that's probably true for a lot of other areas that you're just moving into, down the East Coast and stuff. You're just moving into your winter and stuff. But in New Hampshire here, we are in it. Okay. So, so the guardians of the North, the spirit animals, there's quite a few of them, and when you think about it, again, it makes sense. It's just a matter of taking a minute to think about it. So your northern spirit animals are basically your four-legged earth animals. So those would typically be your bear, your wolf, badger, horse, deer, elephant, armadillo is a four-legged. So it can be ones you don't typically think of. Like here in New Hampshire, we would think bear and deer. But it doesn't have to be where you're from. You can be in New Hampshire and have a spirit animal of an elephant. So, that doesn't necessarily have to be where you're from. So, it's just typically the spirit animals of the North are, again, your four-legged earth animals. So, not fish, not birds, and four-legged. So, that's kind of, not all animals are four-legged. But yeah, so it can be an armadillo, it can be a beaver, it can be different things. One of the big ones for the North is the buffalo, and the buffalo, again, when you think about it, it makes sense. The buffalo are very well adapted. They are big, they have a lot of fur, hair, I don't know what it's called, but they can adapt to the environment. They can suffer through the winter and be fine because they have such a thick coat. The buffalo is very abundant. So in that sense, I mean, if you go back to, again, the Indians, that's what they used to live, was the buffalo. So if they got a buffalo, because they hunted the buffalo, and they literally used every part of the buffalo. Obviously, they ate the meat. They kept the skins to make their clothes, but everything. They used every part of the buffalo for something. Like, nothing went to waste. So a buffalo is very abundant in that sense. But they also represent power. If you've ever, I have not seen a buffalo. My mom has seen a buffalo. My dad has seen a buffalo, but I have not. But, I mean, we've all seen pictures, videos, and they're very huge. They're very powerful. They stand strong. So they're very capable. And so it's just a very hardy, solid representation of winter and the North. So a buffalo is one of the first ones. If you ever are, reading or researching about spirit animals of the North, pretty much buffalo is going to be the one that's going to pop up first for you. But it doesn't have to be a buffalo. It can be, like I said, there's bear, wolf, badger, deer, elephant, armadillo. So it can be anything. I mean, you could pick a mouse, a mole. Those are four-legged earth animals. So, but that's typically the ones that are very adapt. So, again, when you think about it, bears hibernate. They make it through the winter just fine. But deer make it through the winter just fine as well. So an elephant probably not so much. Won't make it through the winter so good here in New Hampshire, but you kind of know where I'm going. An elephant is a representation of that very big, solid presence. So that's kind of where that fits in here for the North. So yeah, so that's kind of it. So, just take, if you don't know what your spirit animal is, because I get asked that a lot. I'm like, people are like, how do I know what my spirit animal is? And so spirit animals will just come to you. They come to you in different forms. It may be something you just happen to see on TV. Like, I don't know, you're watching a show and you just happen to notice that there's an owl in the scene. And then a day or two later, you're watching TV again and you happen to notice that there's an owl in the scene. Where a lot of other people are watching the same TV show and they don't pick up on the owl. You picked up on the owl. So that's, one way to notice these things, to be aware and pay attention to these things. Or they could be something that comes to you in a dream. Or it could just be something that you're just naturally drawn to, attracted to. There's a reason that you are drawn to this animal. Because when people say, well, I don't know if that's my spirit animal, but I really love butterflies. And it's like, well, then butterfly is one of your spirit animals. If you really love the butterfly, then the butterfly is a spirit animal for you. So, it's not a real in-depth, like, there's not like a right or wrong answer for what your spirit animal is. Your spirit animal doesn't have to be in your, like, if you are, like I said, today we're talking the North, so that would be the Taurus, the Virgo, and the Capricorn. If you're a Capricorn and your spirit animal is a lizard, I guess that's four-legged, a snake has no legs, is a snake, that doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just kind of like more the typical of how it works. But it doesn't have to be. It can be anything. The other thing is, like I said, is we have spirit animals that are kind of like our life ones, that stick with us. And for me, that's typically the dragonfly. I have always loved dragonflies. I don't collect them. I don't have like a lot of dragonfly stuff around. I do have some stuff, but I don't tend to be a collector of these things. But so I've always kind of been drawn to the dragonfly. It's like wherever I go, I see dragonflies. It's like they're everywhere. And sometimes I wonder if I'm crazy because I'll ask my husband, did you see that dragonfly? And he's like, no, I did not. It was there, I swear it was. But I see dragonflies everywhere. But they can also come in as just messengers for you as well. So one of the examples that I can think of off the top of my head is when I first decided to start to take classes and learn from Athena, and before I decided to sell her products for her. But when I first started to learn and wanted to take a class, I wasn't sure, and I went back and forth, and self-doubt. Do I want to pay the money for it? Is it really going to teach me anything? All those stupid questions that we ask ourselves. And every night when I was sitting there reading at night, I was hearing this owl, and I'm like, well, that's funny because I don't normally have an owl in my backyard. But it was like night after night after night when I was sitting there and reading, I was hearing this owl. So I ended up deciding to to sign up for the class. And the next night I was sitting there reading and there was no owl. And I haven't heard the owl again. So to me, it was the owl kind of, when I went back and thought about it, I'm like, that was the owl telling me, yes, you need to sign up for these classes. This is what you need to be doing. Pay attention. I'm telling you something. And then once I decided to do it, he went on to bring his message to whoever he had his next message for. So that's kind of the way I see some of these things. And so just recently, I shared it with you guys that I actually signed up for the Holistic Healer for Sage Goddess, which means I can sell her items. But that's not really my big pushing point. It's that I get to take all of her classes. And so I'm not going to go too much into her classes right now because as of 2019, she's totally revamping the whole program. Currently right now, there's 3 classes, which is Arrow Magic, which is about herbs and essential oils. There's Gemwise, which is about the crystals. And then there's Magical Sabbatical, which kind of covers everything else. So that's kind of a big class. But what she has decided to do is she's going to, this year, so for 2018, I could take, I started out just taking Arrow Magic, which was the essential oils and the herbs. And then I decided to add in and get the package deal and do all 3 classes. Well, what she's doing next year, from my understanding, is that it's going to be 1 class. So it's going to be more expensive because, like I said, when I signed up for Arrow Magic, it was $20 a month. So now she's putting all 3 classes together, which is what I have done anyway. and it's going to be one price. So there's not going to be the option to kind of piece it out, as far as I understand. Which is, she just kind of trying to mainstream it and make it more, all coincide and go together, and it'll just flow better. Because if you're taking Arrow Magic and Sabbatical and not GemWise, she's going to be talking about things from GemWise in these other two classes, and people that don't take that class are not going to really kind of know what's going on. So she's just kind of decided that it's going to be one class, and the price is obviously going to reflect that it's going to be a much bigger class. But again, I don't have all the details. But anyway, that's sidetracked from what I was saying. I decided to sign up for the Holistic Healer program, which next year is going to be called something else. But again, that's not my story. So when I signed up for it, because again, I went back and forth. Do I really want to spend the money on this? We could use the money somewhere else. All those questions when you're making a decision on what is going on. And so I wasn't really sure, but I ended up signing up. I said, well, I'm going to sign up, and if I can't do it, I'll just have to get done. That's just the way it is. And the day I signed up, I was driving home that night, and an owl flew right in front of right in front of my car. It scared the jeebus out of me. And he stopped and landed on the guardrail and just turned around and looked at the road, or looked at me. I don't know if he was actually looking at me, but looked that way. And to me, that was my sign that, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So there's, different things that the animals can be telling you for messages. So just kind of pay attention to what your surroundings are and stuff. I know that doesn't really necessarily relate back to the north that we were talking about, because you're probably not going to see a buffalo run in front of you in northern New Hampshire. But if you happen to see a buffalo, like I said, it can be on TV, it can be in a dream, it can just be, I don't know, maybe somebody you saw somebody and they're wearing a buffalo t-shirt, and the next day you see somebody else wearing a buffalo t-shirt. It doesn't have to be the actual animal. So just pay attention to what those signs are, because some of you do know what your spirit animals are, but that doesn't mean there's not messengers out there that are trying to come through and trying to send you a message, trying to tell you something. And sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to pick up on those and figure out what the message was. Right now, like I said, we're going into the north, and so it's going to be a time, everybody's going to want to rest and relax and hibernate and stay inside. And, it's just really the heavy gravity feel of the earth, which is the element that we're in, is the earth. So again, going back to thinking of like the bear and the elephant and the buffalo, when those animals step, it's a very heavy, grounded, powerful step. So, when a bear steps, walks, you hear it, thump, thump, it's a very heavy walk. I'm assuming it's the same with the buffalo and an elephant. I haven't heard them walk, but I would assume that would be the same. So that's that very earthy, grounded, hibernating time, and now we're going to feel that gravity pull us to the earth, which is kind of what makes us want to just kind of sit on the couch and be a lump. So just kind of be aware of that, and it's really okay to do that, because that is kind of what this time of the year is for. It's a time for rest. It's a time for gathering yourself back together. It's a time for reflection and, just getting back together before spring comes and we start off on our busy, amazing lives that we have. So it's okay. Just don't be a couch lump to the point where it's unhealthy for you. You have to get up a little bit. we have to go to work, we have to get groceries, we have to do some of these things. So I see there's a couple people asking to join the group. So as soon as I'm done the live, I will get them in there, and so they can start watching some of the videos as well. So yay, new people. I'm so excited when there's new people. Again, I know some of you watch these later. So if you're watching it live or on the replay or something, just give me a thumbs up, a heart. You can give me an angry face if you want. Comment something in them just to let me know that you guys are watching. There was a couple of things I did want to mention real quick before I go. So if you are, and again, this is pretty common. Most people know this, but I just wanted to cover it. If you are somebody that's going to work with essential oils or incense at this time of the year, some of the good ones to work with, which again are going to make sense when I say them. It's going to be pine, cedar, fir, patchouli, myrrh, amber, and sandalwood. So those are really good incense or oils to work with right now. I just made, I trapped myself into doing a vendor fair this weekend. I don't typically do vendor fairs. I don't typically carry stock on hand to sell. But they couldn't get anybody else, so I said I'd do it. So I'm making some things, and one of the things I made was my own version of a gingerbread. So there's going to be a lotion and a body scrub, I believe. I'm going to do some peppermint lip scrubs, body scrubs, a couple other things too, but Caffey's popping up information here. But those are I did a candy cane, which is peppermint. But so again, if you're gonna work with essential oils or incense or even candles, I suppose, you could do pine, cedar, fir, patchouli, myrrh, amber, and sandalwood. Okay, which is pretty much what you're gonna find anyway. You're gonna find a lot of the pines and the firs and stuff like that around this time of year anyway. So again, it's, we've talked about gratitude, and I kind of said we were done with that because November was done and stuff, but really gratitude is something that you want to work on all the time. And so during this time, not so much winter, you're going, just because we're going into Yule, and it's a time of, giving and family and stuff. So again, you just kind of want to be, thinking about that gratitude of what you have again and stuff. I know we just did that for Thanksgiving and stuff, but just kind of be thoughtful of the blessings that you have. Like I said, we can always dwell on the fact that somebody has more than us, but there's a lot of people that don't have as much as you either. So just kind of be thankful of what you do have. Don't worry about what other people have. Unless you want to be charitable and give, then that's always a great idea. So just to cap off, we are in the earth element. We are in the north direction. We are in, obviously, the winter season. We are in the time of the midnight, which makes, because it's dark here. It's going to be a time of retreat. Again, I don't really like that word, but it's going to be a time reflection, rest, just kind of taking care of yourself, getting back to gathering yourself back together after everybody's got busy summers and everything, and so it's just going to kind of be that time of reflection and rest and getting ready for the next spring. So I wrote a little note to step out of our cave in the spring. I know, I'm a dork. It's fine. I know I'm a dork. It's okay. So that was pretty much that. If anybody has any questions or any comments, again, put them in the comments or send me a private message. Because if you have any questions, I'll certainly answer them for you. Like I said, you can always Google these things, but just be a little bit conscious of where you're getting information from when you Google things. You can go to Wikipedia, but again, Wikipedia is things that people have just put in there. So there's nobody that really really fact checks in Wikipedia. So if there's something you're really interested in and want to know more about it, you can ask me. I can try to help you with. I have lots of my notebooks are full of information. And again, like I have to kind of pick and choose what I give you for information because I have a half an hour. So if there's something you want, I can actually send you some research. I can direct you to some books, things of that sort. So if there's something you want to learn, just let me know. And so with that, I'm going to wish you ladies to have a wonderful, lovely day. And as always, be kind. What you put out is what is going to come back to you. Whether you believe in karma or the threefold, or just be kind because it's a good thing to do. But what you put out is what you get back. If you're putting out kindness, you're going to get kindness back. And again, everybody has a story. Not everybody's as lucky as some of us are, and they have issues going on. So your kind words or your kind action could change their day and yours. So thanks for joining. And those few people that I just saw were sending some requests to pop in. I will get to you, I promise, today and get you in the group probably within an hour or two, okay? And so thank you for joining. Again, pop in a comment. Just let me know you guys are watching, that I'm not sitting here just talking to my computer doing nothing else but looking like a crazy lady. So lots of love. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.